Hey everybody, welcome back to Midnight Road Garage. Today we are working on the 65 C-10 again. Yeah, kind of hard to tell from that angle. Maybe, oh, yeah, there it is. Okay, now you can see it's a 65 C-10. Anyway, today we are continuing work on the brakes. Part one, we put the front spindles on and the ball joints and the tie rod ends. And in this one, we are working on rear brake lines. I did buy a whole conversion kit, so we've got new brake lines for the rear end. Oddly enough, the conversion kit did not come with a rear rubber brake line, so I had to pick one of those up. It's a Dorman product from Amazon. So anyways, let me get this thing up in the air and we'll get started. What I'm going to do is jack the rear end up right underneath the rear end, and then put some floor jacks, heavy duty floor jacks, right underneath the frame, and then let the axle drop back down so that we have as much room as possible on the axle. Here's what's left of our brake line set up here on the rear end, and I can see I need to do some bushings on that panhard bar too, but that's for a different video. So we're gonna take these off here, and then we'll take a look at this line and see what we can do with that. Now these drum brakes, believe it or not, these brakes were completely redone by the previous owner. They have all new hardware. Even the drums are new. Your brake cylinder here is brand new. The little plastic piece that comes in it is still in it, so I'll have to pull that out to put the new brake line on. But yeah, so we don't have to do anything with the brakes themselves. Yeah, we could use pretty much any wrench to take this off because we don't care, but it's always good practice to use a flare nut wrench. That's never good. It just wants to bend. It's bending our bracket here, and that's no good. The last thing we want to do is have to try and re-weld that bracket back on. So let me get something else so we can hold this bracket at the same time we're loosening up this nut. Another option we have is we can always break the line like that and put a socket on here. The other side, kind of in just bad shape. So there. Maybe we just take the whole thing off and then deal with it off. Yours could be different than mine, so keep that in mind. Yours might just come right off. You gotta kind of figure it out for yourself what's gonna work best. Well, might not be the best use of vice grips, but it works. And we're off. Now that we have this off, there's lots of ways to get these off. If you had a vise handy, you could just stick it in a vise. You don't really want this to be too tight though. It's brass, so you could damage it. But anyway, yeah, that worked. Just using some vise grips to hold this in place. And then using my flare nut wrench, a lot of force, to loosen it up. Okay, might have to use it the whole way out. And we can do the same thing for the other side. Oh, that one's nice and loose now. If your vehicle's been sitting around for a while, you probably want to just go ahead and blow in here and make sure that the air goes out both sides. Just yeah, it's good. It's working. So next up is our brake line. This is maybe still good. And I can bend it without it. It's cracking a little bit. Yeah, it's dry rotted. All right, so good that we're replacing this. It goes into the frame, and then on the here's what's left of the intermediate brake line. It's not connected to anything up front. But I'm going to show you a little trick on how to easily see what you're doing with this. There's this hole on the side of the frame. Let me go get a little light, and then we'll be able to see right through this and see what we're working on. So I've got this cool little device right here. It is a light. So where it was once dark, it's now bright, and I can easily see what I'm working on. This little clip right here allows me to clip it right to my hat so that I don't even need to hold it. Of course, with it clipped to my hat, that makes it behind the camera, and then you can't see anything. But I have clipped it to the frame, and you can see it even is adjustable, the end of it. So now, it's kind of a huge pain for me to get the camera there, but if you're doing this without a camera, which I think most of you would be, you'll be able to see what you're doing pretty easily. So if you're trying to save that line, which I'm not, but we'll pretend like we are, you just put your flare nut wrench on here and then loosen this up. And then, not sure if you can see it, but there is a clip right here, my thumb's pressing against, that you have to pull out, and then the whole line will pop out of the frame. This is the clip, and what happens is this goes through the frame here and butts up against this, and then on the inside of the frame, this clip goes right in that track, and so you have to pull this out to get this all the way out. I opted to just go ahead and cut the line because I'm replacing the line anyways. And if you have issues getting these lines out, they're probably garbage and you should just replace them. So something to keep in mind. So here is our new line. It is the same size as the old line. You want to just check that, make sure it is good. Do not do the frame part first. Do the rear end part first, so that you can make sure that this is in the proper location. You'll see in a second. We're going to put this on here, tighten this up. There's another clip that goes in here. It was funny when I took it apart, the clip was on the wrong side. So I'm not sure if the previous owner did that or somebody who worked on the truck at some point had done that. But anyways, we're going to put the clip on the right side this time. So we're just going to take our new line, stick it through here, twist this on. Now I'm just going to go ahead and use a pair of vice grips. But you could probably use the right size wrench if you wanted, or adjustable wrench or something. And you want to just tighten this line all the way up. Well, they had jammed it on the other side, but vice grips are okay. Takes care of that. Now we can go ahead and finally put on one of our new lines. We didn't actually have a real line on here. We kind of got to figure it out. This line is slightly too long. You can see the plug in the wheel cylinder there. So I'm going to pull that plug, and I am going to put that side in first because this little pre-bent line is not actually bent for that. So what I'm going to do is take that out. We're going to just go ahead and kind of start you. So we've got this side started. I'm going to go ahead and snug it up with my fingers there. Now, so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. You see how far out the line is from the rear end. Well, that's fine because now we can just bring it in here. Well, we want to get you started as well. Okay, that's on. Tighten the side going into the wheel cylinder. I'll leave that side loose so I can get the line, until I get the line started for the other side, and then we'll tighten it up. That other side's a lot longer, so we will have a lot more play to work with as far as getting the bends the way we want. On the driver's side, you can see it's sticking out quite a bit, but we'll be able to just kind of bend that back in. There's a clip on the rear end right there. There's another one right here that's actually part of the cover, the differential cover, and then it's just gonna screw into our block there. Bend you a little bit that way. just like that. How to do it. And let's clip you in place. At this point, we're going to go ahead and tighten up all of our lines here, and then we'll move on to the intermediate lines running through the frame. Okay, so I know I said we were going to work on those intermediate lines, but first I needed to mock up all the front brake lines. So here is your driver's side brake line, here is your passenger side brake line, and then here is the intermediate line. I wanted to make sure I was clear where these were going on the truck. So our intermediate line, this is a piece that runs into the brake line for the rear end. And this is the rubber brake line side. And then this line that's bent right here, I actually need to bend straight. And this is what runs all the way up to the front of the truck and then connects to this line right here, all the way back to the back again. You know, if this were a short bed, it wouldn't take so long to get back here. Short bed 6 feet, this is 8 feet. Kind of a joke. All right, wasn't funny. This is what we're going to use to connect the two intermediates. It came with the intermediate box. However, connecting this intermediate to the front intermediate, yeah, I don't know what I'm supposed to use for that. Here are some more parts. Maybe this one here, but I don't know. Maybe. I'm just not sure. And it didn't come with any directions. Not helpful. Yeah, no, it wouldn't be that. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and put the proportioning valve on here. Maybe we'll get some answers after that. So well, this kit came with no directions. And I don't know, maybe there's some online. I have done a couple of these before. This bracket here, it's going to bolt right there. And then our proportioning valve is going to bolt to it using these bolts right here. And then these two little guys right here go from our master cylinder over to our proportioning valve. So I've done a few of these before. And these usually don't line up very well. So the key to this, like many aftermarket products, is to keep things loose until everything is actually connected. It usually increases your odds of success. Let's see here. We've got... Alright, so obviously this one goes to the back. It might not be obvious to you, but the reason it's obvious is because hole here, they do not line up with this and this. This one has an L here, so it's going to come out this way and screw on to this. This one goes here. This one goes to the front because it actually has a bigger thread than the one that goes to the back. That's loose. Got you off. Almost lines up. Almost. We'll just have to squeeze it just a little bit. Lock washer, washer, lock washer, washer. And let's see if we can. Alright, that's that one. I'm pulling this up to get this one. And then just start tightening stuff. You might ask, why am I so sure that this proportioning valve goes like this? Well, because if you go through all of the hassle to put your company logo on the outside of a proportioning valve, you're going to want to make sure people can see it. Alright, 1/2 inch doesn't fit, but 13 sure does. What do you think, 7/16 or a 12? 7/16 fits. Oh, 12 is way too loose. Brake fluid indicator light, which will probably never get hooked up, but there it is anyway. Alright, proportioning valves installed on our master cylinder. We are ready to get back to the lines. Back to the intermediate lines. I'm going to go ahead and put this connector on now on the small line. Alright. Right above the rear axle are this first bit of intermediate line. Just goes right here. We're just going to take this line, bring it up here, our intermediate line, put it into the frame rail, and then just go ahead and bring it right on through that hole. Then take your rubber hose, go ahead and hook it up, and then just go ahead and tighten it up. Hopefully you all are able to see that. Go ahead and get it good and tight. You really don't want to have to go back and tighten these up, so go ahead and get it nice and tight. Well, it's easy. Now that we're tight, we're just going to take this, push it into here, and then put the clip in the slot. Of course, I lost the clip. Okay, so hopefully you can see what we've done there. You can see the clip that holds our rubber line in place, and our hard brake line has been tightened down. Next is running the intermediate line down the frame and hooking her up right here. Well, surprise, we went from working on the intermediate line to having the hood open. And front wheels are off and it's up in the air. So what has happened is taking a look at my LS swap engine that's in here and those exhaust manifolds that are right up against the frame. And yeah, so I've pretty much decided that instead of putting the lines in, I now need to put the master cylinder in and then work my way back. I don't think I'm going to be able to run the lines where stock lines would run. Stock lines would run on the inside of that frame rail by the exhaust manifold. And that exhaust manifold is so close to the frame that I will have boiling hot brake fluid, not from braking hard, but from the heat from the exhaust manifold. So I think I'm going to have to run them on the outside of the frame just to get enough space away from that exhaust manifold. Not too surprisingly, this was a drum brake truck. We had these two bolts that were doing whatever, and this bolt and this bolt would have held the old non-power booster master cylinder. So it does not have 4 bolts like a regular master cylinder for a power brake car or truck would have. When we come over and look at this, though, we can see that the bottom holes do line up directly with our rod. This rod connects to the brake pedal. This is the old rod, which I have already taken out. This did come with a new rod. Here is the rest of it. So it would screw on here. It is extremely long. Now I'm going to assume that I will be cutting some of this line down. It's just going to end up being way too long. What I'm going to do, just to get this in here and so we can work on it, is I'm going to put the 2 bottom bolts in. And then at some point I'm going to have to drill some new holes for these top bolts. I think it probably needs, this thing's heavy and awkward enough, and it's part of your brakes, that I think if you're like me and you've got a drum brake truck or car that's missing those 2 holes, just go ahead and drill them. I would say real quick, but I doubt it's gonna be. Yeah, that kind of figures the built-in washer on the old bolt is pretty much making it impossible for me to put this on. Well, after a lot of drilling and cussing, and some more drilling and then some more cussing, got some more holes. We should be able to install this and it will actually be secure. Well, it was quite the battle to get that in there. Yeah, not as easy as it should have been. The generic mounting brackets on the back of that don't really line up well with this truck. I did find on a Chevy truck forum a bracket that somebody was selling that goes on the back of the booster that's supposed to just bolt right up to the firewall. I'll put a link to that in the description to that forum, and you can find that. And if that guy's still selling them by the time you see this video, you might want to get that instead of this generic bracket where you have to drill some bolt holes and it's just a cluster. I did get it on though, but it'd be a heck of a lot easier with a bracket that just bolts right up. Okay, so now I've started working on the brake lines. May have mentioned earlier in the video, I'm doing this over the Christmas break, so a lot of time in between shooting. But this is our intermediate line, and so it comes down this way, goes under the frame, and then along along the cross member of the frame over to the other side. It's going to hook to our the intermediate line that runs the length of the frame to the back. So I've put this in this way. I was on the fence as to whether or not that was supposed to go on the outside of the frame or the inside of the frame. And it's possible that it's supposed to go on the inside of the frame, but it is not going to do that on my truck because I have an LS swap in here, and the manifolds, I didn't do this LS swap. I would have done it much differently if I had been the one who had done this. There's no going back now, though. Stock manifolds are on here, and they are really, really close to the inside of that frame, so there's no way a brake line can go through there. So we're going to have to put it on the outside, whether it's supposed to be that way or not. There were no directions with these lines, so I have no idea. And I didn't have lines on here before, so yeah, so no clue. Might be easier for you if you've got lines. You can just put them where the old lines were, but I don't have the luxury of that. Move on to the line for this side. It is this one right here, and it is going to connect right up under here. That is where the driver's side line goes. The passenger side front goes here, and the line to the rear is on the back side right there. Now the reason I don't really think it's supposed to be on this side of the frame is because if I do this and just run it up there, as you can see, I've got way too much line here. It's about the same amount of line that I wouldn't have if this line were on the other side of the frame where I cannot put it. So I'm gonna have to just bend this somehow and make it work. You know, another problem with having that particular line here is this is a moving part, so you got to make sure that you're away from this. And then as you can see, this kind of goes over. Now no matter where you put it, it's going to kind of go over the steering column. So that's another moving part you got to make sure this is going to be out of the way of. And then I guess if you got really big tires, you might be concerned about it. Probably not. Maybe it would work better if it were on the other side of this, but then it's closer to the steering column. We're just going to make it work. Here's the back side of our caliper. I took it off. It'll be easier to show you. I'm going to take your banjo bolt. That's what it's called. Put your other copper washer on. So you got copper washer on both sides. And then we're going to tighten this. There's really only one way this fits properly. You can see the angle here. If you look, this piece is angled. With it angled down, it will not fit on this. And you want this coming out just like this. Here's your bleeder screw. You want this coming out this way, and then it's going to kind of go back like this. But that's what you want, because if you have it on the other side, it's going to end up rubbing the wheel. If it's coming out this way, it's going to end up rubbing the inside of the wheel. So just like this, and tighten it down. This line is kind of done. Yeah, had to do a lot of bending to get it to fit. I still have a shock that's got to go here, so there'll be some more bending to go for sure, because we're gonna have to keep it away from the shock and keep it away from the control arm, and then also keep it away from the steering column up here, which it definitely hit when I was moving the wheel here. There are some bolt holes right here that I will probably use to help with that endeavor. But anyway, let's see if we can figure out the next line. Our intermediate brake line runs through this hole in the cross member, and then, I don't know if you can see it, but connects back to the intermediate line that's running back to the rear end. And then we come up here, we go through another hole right here, and then again, this is done with no directions, so I don't know how right it is. It kind of falls along this path. And then to connect these two together, this is what they gave me to connect them together. So I've connected them together like so. Do I think that's the way it's supposed to go? No, probably not. Is that the way it's going to be for now? Yes. Yes, it is. All right, passenger side is done. Got a brake line on, a hard line on, and you can see the other brake line that runs through there. I don't know if that's right or not, but it's gonna have to be for this. Probably have to adjust that line some more to get that shock on there. Make sure you tighten all these up, because I just had them on loose while I was adjusting things. But make sure you get all these. Then I am gonna put some brake fluid in it. And then I'll wait till I can get one of my friends over here to bleed the brakes with me. Oh, you know what? That reminds me, still need to hook up the brake pedal to the new rod that came with it. Here it is. I will probably actually end up having to cut some of this all thread off of here. This is probably too long, but let's find out. So it's time to get the brake pedal worked out, and we've got to connect this push rod here to the brake pedal. So this connects to the brake pedal, and then this end connects to the rod coming out of the back of the power booster. This is what you use to connect those two together. Now you do have some wiggle room here. You can see this threads out quite a bit. I'm going to thread this all the way in. And what we're going to do, we're going to put this up against the brake pedal, and we're going to see how much overlap we have from here to the brake booster. You'll see what I mean, and then we'll end up cutting off some of this. So this is our brake pedal. Here's the hole that goes through. So this is going to be bolted into that only from the other side. And this right here is the back of our brake booster. So we take this and put it up against our hole here. We can see, so we're up against the hole. We can see we're pretty close. Looks like we're safe to cut about 1 inch off. I mean, you might want to actually measure, but I like to live dangerously. Yeah, that works. Hopefully you can see what's going on. A little tighten here. So we are taking this piece and we're going through back of the brake pedal. And we've got a washer and a lock nut. Got about I don't know, quarter inch gap. Because if you remember, we did thread this all the way in, so I actually got tons of play here still. 9/16 and the 9/16. I probably could have got a socket on this, but okay, now we're just gonna take you, start threading you out, and you gotta get this lined up perfectly for the threads to start going on, it looks like. I'm going to tighten all these nuts down. Alright, we got a working brake pedal. Awesome. Here's something the original owner probably did not see. And you put the brake pedal all the way down, it hits the drive-by-wire pedal. But it is real close to touching the floor pan here. So I think I can put something right here on the floor pan so that the brake pedal doesn't bottom out into the drive-by-wire. And we're going to have to do something with this. We're going to have to do something with the wire for the drive-by-wire so it's not getting hit by the brake pedal all the time. It shouldn't be anyways. Once the brakes actually have some pressure, the pedal should only go down about here. Next, I need to get one of my friends to come over and help me bleed these brakes, because what I have found from years of bleeding brakes, those one-man kits aren't worth a damn. I wouldn't recommend any of them. Find a friend and have them help you. I know you can't tell from the video, but it's been about a week. And my good friend Dawn Brown from the With Dawn Brown YouTube channel is on her way over to help me bleed these brakes. Let me get some brake fluid in here before she shows up so we can get right to work when she gets here. All right. Those things can be a real pain to get off when they're brand new. synthetic dot 3 and 4 brake fluid, so should work fine in here. Yeah, 3, 4, whatever it takes. 220, 221. We're just gonna fill both the front and the back. I'm sure we will go through quite a bit here.
Hey, boo, hey. I don't know why you keep me.
I don't know why I keep you either.
I don't either.
Yeah.
At least I'm entertaining.
Yeah. You ready to beat some brakes?
Do it.
All right, let's do this. Let's do this with Dawn Brown.
You got a hole in your windshield.
Yeah, I got mad and shot it the other day.
It's actually what it looks like.
Yeah. What wasn't me that did it though.
That's exactly what it looks like.
Hate to break it to you, but it actually wasn't me. Kind of came that way. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up this bleeder all the way on the back passenger side. You want to be as far away from the master cylinder as possible. I have got the bleeder screw open, and now I am going to yell to my wonderful assistant to go ahead and put the pedal to the floor, Dawn.
Okay. You want me to hold it or pump it?
Put it down. Just put it all the way down to the floor.
All the way to the floor. Done.
Yep. You were down?
Yep.
Okay. Go ahead and pump it.
Okay.
That should be good because you're not really going to get a pedal at the moment. Okay, I'm going to open up the bleeder screw. Go ahead and put it to the floor. Okay, pump it. This is going to take a while because there is no brake fluid in any of these lines. You can see we had a little bit of a leak there, but that is fixed now. Okay, put it to the floor. Okay, pump it. That's good. Floor. Alright, pump it. Starting to feel like anything? Okay, we just finished bleeding the brakes finally. It's only taken several hours. It's only going to be about 10 minutes for you guys. I'm going to put the tires back on here real quick so you guys can see what this thing looks like with its new stance and working brakes and all that good stuff. All right, so check it out. Brakes are done and the truck is on the ground. And I think it looks awesome with its new stance. What do you think, Dawn Brown?
I think she's sexy. And I'm cold.
How are you cold?
I'm cold.
So I think Dawn's done for the night, which means I'm done for the night. So we're going to get out of here. Like, subscribe, comment. Oh, be sure to check the description for a link to her channel and her Instagram. Definitely check out her Instagram. She's got some really cool photos on there. See y'all down the road.